All right, I think we're live. What's up, y'all? Andy McCabe here. Wanted to make a quick post about overhead and profit on mitigation and customizing price lists and customizing, marking up labor in Xactimate pricing. So I'm going to take this video and put it into the pricing course I currently have called Baking in Profits. So if you're watching this there, that's what the intent is. So most of you don't know where Xactimate pricing comes from. I happen to know because I just got certified as an Xactimate pricing expert. So what that means is I know where the pricing comes from. I know what goes into the pricing. And historically, up until I took this course about a month ago, I had a fundamental misunderstanding on the composition of markup within the Xactimate pricing database. So based on that newfound information, I am compelled to amend previous statements and amend the course that I have on customized pricing in Xactimate. So what I have on the screen here, hopefully you can see it. I think you can, is a breakdown of what goes into the labor portion of the pricing in Xactimate. This is just a random example. This is the WTR DRYW line item, removal of drywall mitigation. WTR is water damage mitigation function. So when you go into that, I'm just going to back up so you can follow along at home. I typed that in, and it looks a little weird here because of the screen here. Come on. Regardless, it looks weird here. I'm trying to get it to work. Come on. It won't go over there. Anyway, you type it in, you click on this button, this comes up, and you click on the eye. That's what comes up. And then you click on the material and see what the components, the assembly info, blah, blah, blah. That's purely informational for you. But what I want to talk about today is this labor overhead here. As you can see, the makeup of this line item, 35 cents is the wage, 17 cents is the burden. Burden is insurance, workers' comp, benefits, blah, 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 blah. The 60 cents is what Xactimate calls labor overhead. And where this came from is Xactimate wanted to represent retail rates whenever possible. So when you see the material in here, this material, 18 cents per bag, essentially, that represents a retail rate for that bag. So go out in the market, go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, buy a box, and use them. Your cost for that bag is going to be about 18 cents. Well, the same thing applies for labor. Your cost for labor, your retail labor rate, if you go out and hire a roofer or a plumber or something like that, or in this instance, a water damage technician off the street, your labor rate is going to be, maybe I should pull up a different one to be more realistic. Let's do that. Let's just do an LAB. Now this is going to go off screen a little bit, but it's fine. That's fine. Let's do is there a WTR? WTR LAB? Yeah, there we go. Let's just put one in there. So let's do the same thing. Hit the eye. We can see. So this is the pure labor. So $23.78 an hour is the wage. It depends on the market, but that's probably pretty close to what people are getting paid. The burden is another $11.55. But as you can see, the $40.22 is the labor overhead. So if you are performing these functions in-house, you are not paying, theoretically, you're not paying the retail rate, right? You're paying the in-house rate. So if you have water damage technicians in-house, most of you do, and you're using Xactimate, you're using these labor rates, what this means is there's $40.22 built in as a margin. It's a difference between the wholesale rate for that labor and the retail rate. So this is what gave me pause when I took the class. I had a moment. I was like, oh shit, I'm teaching people incorrect. I was going about this whole thing incorrectly. So if you've just took this class called Baking in Profits, I've just told you you need to bake in your profits by baking in a margin at the price list level and building a percentage for your materials, building a percentage for your equipment, building a percentage for your labor. Post my certification as an Xactimate pricing expert, I am going to back off my assertion that you need to build in a margin or build in a markup into that labor component, because let's do the math real quick. If we add our 2378 plus our 1155, gives us 3533. So if our $40.22 divided by 35, what was that, 33? Yeah. That's a 113% markup on that cost. So your cost has been marked up. It's really a retail markup, right? 113%. Well, it depends on what you're selling. REI is a 400% markup on their cost, 500% sometimes. But when it regards to restoration and the mitigation environment in particular, there is margin built in. I was wrong. There's margin built in. So it would be, I think, disingenuous of us with this knowledge to say that we need additional markup beyond 113% markup. And it rings true to me because we all know fundamentally, at least anecdotally, mitigation is more profitable. I do mitigation work. I make more money than the same revenue in the repair world, right? So this is why the reason mitigation is so much more profitable than repairs is because most mitigation line items are very skewed to the labor side. A very small amount of equipment. There's equipment, drying equipment, obviously, but it's mostly labor, a little bit of material, and some equipment. And with 113% markup built in, that's why it's more profitable. That's why you hear guys saying, I'm making 65 points, I'm making 70 points on my mitigation. And that's also why when we try to put in a 10 and 10 on mitigation, we're getting so much pushback. So here's my, for the class, for the folks that just took Baking in Profits, this video is going to be at the very end. For the people that just took this class, I still invite you to customize your pricing. And if you're doing mitigation, I still think you should customize your pricing. But that customization, when you go into your materials, pick your number that's appropriate for you. Go to your equipment, pick a markup that's appropriate for you. When you go to labor, be very careful and intentional if you mark that up at all. I'm currently not marking up labor in the customized pricing that I'm using for my clients, right? So that's my stance. There may be circumstances, based on this. If you do this math, do your own thing. Pull up your labor, pull up an estimate, pull up a labor, and look at the numbers, because where water labor is 113% markup to get your retail labor rate. Let's look at roofing, LABRFG. Let's do the same math. Where's my calculator? Oh, you just see it right here. This is going to blow you. This is going to blow your mind. Look at this. 23.16 plus 13.2 36.36. 109, 19 divided by 36.36. It's a 300% markup. Built in. This is baked in. This is the numbers coming from Xactimate. Well, let me be double sure that I'm not using a weird price list. I didn't even think about that before I started this whole thing. Oregon Bend 8X March 20. Nope, that is the off-the-shelf price list for Bend, Oregon. So what you just said, yes, please say that line item. There's a 300% markup on roofing, 113% markup on labor, on mitigation labor. So now you know. Be very careful with this new information what you're doing when you're modifying pricing, and be sure when you try to do these things like putting in overhead and profit on mitigation. I'm going to argue that you're probably trying to build in too much. There's margin built in. When you're modifying pricing, be very careful what you do to modifying the labor component, because there's margin built in. So now you know. Get any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Meantime, be good, do good work.